We back, Dan?
Never left.
Never left. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Rugby League Outlaws, brought to you by our good friends at Top Sport. Don't forget to like and subscribe everywhere you can. Dan?
Yes, Terry.
Trying to enjoy my off season, and Rugby League just keeps bringing me back. It keeps bringing me back. Like, I'm trying to watch other sports.
Well, there's your first mistake.
Can't do it.
No, can't do it for a good reason. Rugby League just keeps on giving, mate. And it while they keep, we're going to keep.
Yep. And so, speaking of giving, Rugby League is giving Michael Maguire yet another chance.
Nice segue.
As he has signed on to be the New South Wales coach for 2024. Now, I don't understand the length of the contract, because the whole purpose of like the Origin is to build a squad, right? It's to build that continuity and continuation. Try to, what Freddie did. So if he gets it wrong in 2024, which I think and hope he will, what do you do for 2025? That's the big question that I've got.
I think you need to offer him a 2-year deal and say, no matter what happens, it's a 2-year deal. But you can't come in and offer a guy a 4-year deal, because you could stink it up. Overall, I've come around on this a little bit, because I'm firmly in the camp of anybody but Fittler's a good idea. And I'm thinking that a lot of players are probably going to get a wake-up call, because it's probably not the way it seems, but it seems to me, Terry, as a rather energetic and passionate New South Wales Blues fan, that they go into camp and they laugh it up and they take the shoes off and they get the boombox out. Imagine Maguire ain't going to subscribe to that. You're going to come in, he's going to go, cool, 50 laps. And one of them will complain. He'll go, all right, you get 100. And I don't think he will say, say Nathan Cleary has a bad game or two. I don't think he'll hesitate to flick him, because this is his last chance. If he bombs out and loses 2 series in a row, he's done as a coach. He comes in, he wins, he can go get any job he wants, and I think he's going to be cutthroat. I think it's good for the Blues.
Now, you and I spoke about it on the Knock On.
Yes.
Make sure you check it out there. And I said that Michael Maguire was the best of a bad lot. And I stand by it, and I reiterate a lot of things that you said there about Michael Maguire. Now, I don't think Michael Maguire's coaching methods work over a long season. Right, but we've seen the Kiwis in the World Cup now, debatable as to... But he got them to the semi-finals, right? And they were the number 1 seed in the world, whether they actually were or not. But he gets like 10 weeks, right? So his job now from March until Origin is to just scout and watch and see who's in form and see what combinations he might think works, right? And then he just gets to yell at people. And he just gets to make them train hard and hate him and go out and play footy. And then 10 weeks, at the end of the 10 weeks, job done.
See you next year.
Shake hands. I might see you next year. I might not, depending on how that result went. The more I think about it, the more he makes sense when you're thinking of Fittler, Daly, Brian Fletcher.
Yeah,
the Johns brothers.
I'm really come around to it. Exactly as you said. A lot of the complaints about him were that he trained too hard. No one at elite level is going to go into Origin and not expect to train hard. And anyone that does won't be there, and they won't be there for long. So I think ultimately they've done the best they can. I don't know what Jeff Tuvey's done wrong, but every time I mention him, 100 people seem to agree and 50 people disagree vehemently. I don't know. So, cool. Madge, welcome to the Blues.
And another person who's got a second chance at the NRL. Third chance now, sorry. Morgan Harper.
Morgan Harper, yes.
Now, was on a plane to go to England, apparently. And Parramatta called him up and said, no, we've got a deal here for you. And rather than shift his family to the other side of the world, he's elected to stay and sign with the Parramatta Eels. 1 year or 2 year deal?
Don't know.
Don't care.
Don't care.
Terrible signing.
Yeah, look, I feel like I'm being a bit harsh here, but
Worst
when
signing.
99, and there were 99 comments, were people laughing and asking, why did we do this? Now, if Morgan Harper plays first grade next year, I think they've made a terrible decision.
When you have a look at their back line,
he could play first grade.
He could play first grade next year.
Pretty much what every Parramatta will reply underneath was, okay, we'll support him, but everyone wanted Connor Tracy. Now, when you say to me, I really want Connor Tracy, that doesn't speak very highly of Morgan Harper. Now, again, we make a lot of jokes at his expense because Sif Talakai took him apart. if you watch closely, that happens not to that extent, obviously, but pretty much every time he plays. Had a few good games last year, albeit they were for Blacktown. There's a footballer there, but not much of one. I think this is a waste of time.
I think this is an absolute waste of time as well. Connor Tracy's there for the taking. You just have to offer Cronulla something.
Yeah.
And we saw that last year with Lachlan Miller. We're not just going to go and give you a player. You have to give us, because we're happy to sit there and run Connor Tracy out for Newtown and have him back up Will Kennedy or Talakai or whoever it is. So there's Connor Tracy's right there. You've just got to give us something in return. Now, the only logical reason that I can think that Morgan Harper makes sense for Parramatta is Brad Arthur has turned around and said, one injury to Penasini or Bailey Simonson, and I have to put Bryce Cartwright in the centres.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
you could always go to Zach Sini.
Yeah, you could. I do think Morgan Harper's better than Zach Sini.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I think Zach Sini he's a winger.
Yeah.
Or a fullback. So yeah, look, I don't. Parramatta's backline depth, and we could do 16 shows or 17 shows on depth of clubs. Parramatta's backline depth is up there with the worst. This doesn't make it better. Now, Dan, out of nowhere today, and for no reason whatsoever, Manly dropped a new logo on us. Now, what's the first thing you noticed about it?
Well, look, I've seen the comments, so I know what the reference is. But what I noticed first was very plain. What was the first thing you noticed?
It looks like a certain Perth eagle.
Does it now?
Like an AFL team eagle. Are Manly gearing up to go to Perth?
I hope so.
I guess.
I really do.
Very
I think
much.
It would benefit literally everybody, Manly fans included.
Yeah. If we just took the peninsula, Manly...
Shift the whole thing, not just the football team.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
You just get the jackhammers out, just take Manly and send it to Perth.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, but I hope it does.
Yep.
Yeah, look...
It's cool. Yeah, okay,
cool.
Look, I know everyone gets a new logo.
Era in Manly, but they kept saying new era. What's different next year? What, Luke Brooks? We're entering the Luke Brooks era. Let's celebrate.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm all up for it. Every time Cronulla change their logo, you kind of look at it and go, it's better than the last one, it's better than the last one. Nothing's going to beat our heritage logo. But for no reason.
I mean, look, good on him. And
I don't even know what the last Manly logo was, to be fair.
But people making a big deal out of this, it ain't a big deal.
No, it's not. Speaking of things that aren't a big deal...
How dare you?
Morgan Smithies apparently joining Canberra on a 3-year deal.
Which sucks because he's the sort of player that I wanted at Cronulla. Fresh off probably what should have been a man of the match performance in the grand final for Wigan.
What did he make, like 50-something tackles in the game?
Hey, free.
Machine.
Yeah, and it was a defensive game, let's say that. Let's put it positively. Yeah. A good signing.
Yeah, okay.
But someone made a comment recently on Twitter that the amount of recycled players you see, like Aaron Woods is going around again next year. And,
it's fresh.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't know what it is, Canberra seem to be the only team willing to take a punt on English players. Now, I know the Tigers...
no one wants to go to Canberra.
Look, yes, in terms of, England to Canberra, maybe Canberra's like a degree warmer and slightly less miserable during winter. Sorry to England and Canberra fans, but also not really, you deserve it. Why don't Cronulla or any other team look and say there's a fair few players in England that are probably too good, with the greatest respects, I'm a big Wigan fan, etc., but it's not very good. And these guys could come over and be genuine superstars.
Yeah, look, Canberra, I think the thing as well is that Canberra have had the success, so the England players are more likely to
go with it.
Go where it is. Like you remember Tolson Tollett back in the mid-90s. Was the next big thing coming out of England. He went and signed for Parramatta and was dreadful. It was absolutely, genuinely dreadful.
Fair enough.
We've seen Sam Tompkins come over to New Zealand. Now, while he had his moments, not the Sam Tompkins that you see...
even last weekend, no.
So, I think that Canberra had success with Bateman, they had success with Whiteman, they had success with Hodgson, and, you're getting that now. I'm very surprised that Newcastle haven't gone and got more because they got Dom Young and they got is it Paul Pierce?
He's coming across next year.
KPP.
He was going to be number one in my list of players we should target. Because I forgot he signed for Newcastle.
Yeah, there's a couple of others that they've got as well. But look, this is a decent signing for Canberra. But when I look at Canberra, It's not props that they need.
No, it's not. It's a 5'8" is the obvious one, and I
Yeah.
still think they need a real fullback and a hooker. Yeah, they got a lot of issues. I like this signing.
Yeah.
If this is for Cronulla, I'm
Yeah.
standing to applaud.
Well,
I really think,
it's like Oregon Kafusi or something fresh. Like,
yeah, I really think people need to look in at England, to be honest.
Now, Dan, there's some international football on the weekend, both men's and women's.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me.
Wasn't bad. Australia played very, very well and won, as you would expect. And
I didn't think they got out of third gear.
no, look, they didn't. And let's be honest, this is an Australia, New Zealand, and you need a third team there for interest. And I think this weekend when the Kiwis play Samoa, I think that's the game of the tournament right there. The girls were very, very good against a really strong Kiwi side who they did a huge refresh from the team that got thumped early last year.
Yeah, the World Cup.
Yeah, in the World Cup. So I think this was a big step forward for the women's game. That's a game I'm looking forward to being replayed next weekend. I did see a lot of people come out and say, what's the point of the Cook Islands playing against New Guinea and getting smashed? Well, there's a test match that all those players now have under their resumes. If you don't play that game, what happens? Nothing. You have to play these games. You have to close that gap because the only way these guys are going to get better is playing these sorts of games. Now, if the Cook Islands had come and lost 140-0 to Australia, that's nothing. They lost, 40-12 or whatever it was in New Guinea. They went to New Guinea as a squad. They get that rabid fanship behind them. They get to play an international in front of a big crowd. There's something like 15,000 or 12,000 there. Plus, there was a huge crowd watching on TV because everyone's dying for some rugby league. It can only be positive. I just implore you, do not look at the results over the next few weeks, except Australia and New Zealand. So if Australia come out and put 80 on New Zealand, there's issues.
Yep.
Outside of that, do not let the results. You saw players crying in the pre-game.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I said on here that the pre-game's better than the games.
It's like the World Cup, right? What would Jamaica doing in the World Cup? What were Jamaica doing in the World Cup? But the minute they scored a try, you best believe I celebrated, right?
Absolutely right.
But what the second tier international games do is they give people a chance.
They do.
They give someone like Kale Iro, who is on the verge of playing in the NRL consistently, an opportunity on the stage to turn around and go, look, I know I've won Centre of the Year in the New South Wales Cup, and I know I'm in the Team of the Year in New South Wales Cup, but I'm also a backup fullback.
Yep.
I'm a fullback for an international team. I can be your backup fullback as well as your starting centre. That means I can play on the wing.
Yeah.
So it's opportunities that it creates. And, you just have to look at the Cook Islands, New Guinea, Fiji. We're even saying about Samoa and Tonga. The minute one of these nations gets a top-tier halfback, your opinion's going to change again.
Exactly right. I said, and I fully admit it's stupid and can never happen and is against the whole idea. But imagine if you could drop Nico Hines and Mitch Moses into that Samoan side or into that Tongan side. We're talking worlds difference. And people joked, it wouldn't change anything. I guarantee you it would in a big way. So I'm just hoping that we do get a player of that background that does come through and bring that gap. But just enjoy it. It's international football and it's fun.
Real fun. Now, another player that might be on the move, Dan, Justin Olam. Where's he headed?
Well, the talk is he's going to the West Tigers in exchange for Sean Bloor.
Big winners in that? Melbourne.
Look, yeah, Sean Bloor, who cares? Take the risk.
Sean Bloor is a very, very good footballer. He has been really unlucky with injuries.
Look, true.
Hasn't played more than 9 games in the last couple of years, like per season, right? But in those games, you see that there is a fantastic footballer in there. I think both players need a change, right? Olam lost his position next year, and it's only going to get tougher when we've seen Suafa'alongo come out for Melbourne. He's going to demand a spot, right?
Absolutely.
So he needs to go, and I think Sean Bloor just needs to get out of the Tigers to show his potential.
I agree. I think it's good, a win-win for both, because the West Tigers right now don't scare anyone in the outside backs.
They don't scare anyone anyway.
They don't. Now, Justin Olam, okay, he didn't have a great season, but there was a time earlier this year where we were talking about Olam being back, where he had a good fortnight or so. He automatically goes in and gets a centre spot for the Tigers. And if he fires to 80% of what we know he can, they improve. If Sean Bloor, maybe he will be a loss. I don't think he will be. But if he is, so what? You've got to take that risk. Yeah. Sean Bloor is not going to be the impact player. They've got a pretty good forward pack otherwise that Justin Olam could be. So I think it's a win-win for both clubs.
Yeah, no. Sean Bloor, if he reaches his potential because he's only young, right? Olam's getting to the back, he's tailoring off. Blaw's still young and he's still coming to his physical peak. Big win for Melbourne here.
I like it. I think it's great.
Now, Dan, your Wigan Warriors going to be involved in the World Club Challenge this year?
You'll be able to.
Or are they?
Or are they?
Or are they? Penrith don't want to go over there.
No, and look, too bad they got her.
They do.
They do.
Because St Helens won.
They did. Now, Penrith are quite within their rights to say we don't want to travel. I think it's a bit of a waste of time, to be totally honest. But people like you and I are going to sit here and say Penrith aren't the best team in the world, even though they quite clearly aren't, because officially they're not. And Wigan are going to say that. They're going to go, nerdy. We beat the team that beat you last year. Come and get us. Penrith send a full side and take it seriously. They beat Wigan by 20 points in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
That coming from a huge Wigan fan and a famous Penrith hater. It's not even close. Go get it done, ya big pussies.
What I think with this World Club Challenge now is, one, I think they have to play it a little bit earlier because when it comes around, the season's already started in the Super League, right? So, but I think as well, you just need to flip a coin now. And then if Penrith land the home game, right next year it's away and it just alternates.
Yeah, fair enough.
You just got to alternate, but it can't be we want to host, no, we want to host, no, we want to host. Well, we're not coming if you're hosting. We don't have to go over there. Like, the two countries come together, flip the coin. We're hosting this year, you host next year.
They've got to either commit to this or say, look, it's not worth the trouble. I think Penrith will want to win it, but I don't think at the expense of losing round one. I think they showed that last year. Wigan, on the other hand, can look and say, look, we went to Australia and we got folded by the Roosters, so there's questions there. England seem to have this thought of we need to compete with the NRL, and they let the NRL fans have it. They go, we beat you. Yeah, we were all supporting you over Penrith, the lesser of two evils, so please do it again. This year, Wigan could come and use it as a 2-week tour and play the Dragons or Cronulla or whoever, and then go play Penrith and use it as a promotional tour. That's the only way I see this going ahead, although I really want to see Penrith go and choke and get flogged so I can add another trophy to the case.
Yeah, and when the English fans turn around and go, no, we beat you. Generally, right, unless you support that club, the other 16 teams are going for you, England. You're welcome.
Terry, I have a question for you.
Go.
Do you care in any way, shape or form if a player sings the national anthem or not?
No.
Me neither.
What about celebrations? Do you care if players jump on top of each other or do post-race celebrations or hug and kiss each other?
Not even in the slightest. And you know what, Terry? You know what the quickest way to stop Penrith doing that is? Hold them scoreless.
Yeah, don't let them score tries.
What about you?
I love it how the only people who are complaining about the national anthem are people who should just shut up about the national anthem, right? Just be quiet. There's a reason why these players do not sing the national anthem, and it's none of your business, okay? I want the best players representing Australia, and if they are the Indigenous players who do not want to sing a national anthem that they do not feel represents them, so be it. It's a 40-second song. Get over it, right? The other thing that makes me laugh is the person who is complaining about post-try celebrations and players jumping on top of each other is the one person on this planet that couldn't jump on top of another person if he was on a trampoline. Bulldog Richie needs to just leave. Dan,
talk to me, Terry.
That's some signings this year. Some good, some bad. You and I have come up with a list of our top 5 best and worst. Now, I actually put this on Twitter for a bit of fun.
Oh, yes.
And I gave the Dolphins a pass on this. So they weren't involved because 17 teams were needed to go to the 6. So I took the worst signing from every player, and you won't be shocked to find that Josh Hodgson was the worst signing voted by the good people of Twitter. The person that he beat in the final, though, didn't make your list. So we're going to talk about this now. So obviously, clear-cut number 1, Josh Hodgson.
Yeah, now look, he was injured, but
terrible signing.
He came in injured, and the thinking was he's only one injury away from ending his career, which unfortunately happened. I think Parramatta brought him in because they wanted him on the coaching staff, and this was an ends till means. Terrible signing, undisputed number 1. Yeah, I take issue with your number 2.
Yeah, number 2 was Reed Marnie.
I don't agree. Full disclosure, I put Franklin Pele because I think Pele was brought in as this superstar signing.
No, he wasn't.
Well, the Bulldogs fans treated it that way.
Bulldogs fans are idiots.
Well, yeah, there's no argument there. And Phil Gould came in and said he's going to be a rusted-on first grader. He played, 4 games now? He's off to England. I think he let everyone down. I think Reid Barney had a pretty good season. I understand why. But in that Bulldogs team, I think he was probably top 3, which isn't saying much, I'll give you. But I think for the future, I think good sign.
You have a look at Reid Marnie this year. He dropped off in his defence. He dropped off in his effort. He dropped off in every statistical category that you can think of that Reid Marnie was so good at in 2022. He was atrocious in 2020. He was one of the bottom tier number. And now, as someone who loves to criticise number 9s, I wouldn't have swapped Blake Brayley for Reid Marnie this year.
That says a lot.
And you only have to have a look at the effort in the games where the Dogs were getting flogged, and this guy just pulled the pin on 900 grand.
Yeah.
That's the reason why he was number 2.
I get it.
Absolutely atrocious.
I just think that in terms of...
Franklin Pele is a reserve grade. Like, if Franklin Pele had left Cronulla with 100 games under his belt, he left Cronulla with 1.
Yes, but what did they do? They told us we would eat crow that we let him go, and it was all about he's going to be the next superstar. He played, 4 games, not particularly well, and got resold to England. Mm-hmm. That's why I put him forward. That's okay. I'm not here to argue with you, Terry. I'm just saying.
Yes, we are. That's why we're here.
Yes, true. But I think either of those Bulldogs deserve the top list.
Yeah. I then had on there Brandon Smith. Another marquee player brought on big money who was terrible during the front half of the year, had a semi-decent back half of the year.
He did. Okay, all right, I'm not going to argue. I thought he didn't perform anywhere near what. I just don't think he was in that top 5. I put Anthony Milford.
He was a semi-finalist?
Yeah, yes, he was.
Now, see, again, Anthony Milford, there was no expectations. Everyone knew going in
there was plenty of expectations. No, he was brought in to lead these youngsters into the new, fresh era and was reduced to a bit part player by the end of the season, and they're trying to move him on now. This is a bloke that, no one wanted.
Try and move him on. He only signed a 1-year deal.
Well, he's been linked elsewhere, and I don't think that they're going to stand his way. Put it that way. I think this went terribly wrong, and I think him starting the season actually held Katoa back. So I think this was a huge. The season. Milford.
Yeah.
We played.
Katoa started in the 6th.
Yeah, but Milford should not have played 1 single minute, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. But
not 1 minute, Terry.
Katoa started in the 6th. That was the reason they
1 minute.
They were adamant that Katoa was going to win the Rookie of the Year, and so was I, until the Dolphins just did what you and I thought were going to do and get injured, and unfortunately Sean O'Sullivan was one of them that wasn't able to keep carrying.
It was a real shame, and I think Milford was not good.
Next up, I have no idea how this guy was signed or why he's re-signed, but Aaron Woods. It just speaks for itself.
Look, I didn't even remember him when I made my list. Full disclosure. Yeah. I got Tarek Sims.
Oh, I got Tarek Sims on my list.
We'll jump to that, and then I'll offer up another one in argument to Woods. But Tarek Sims was bought, and I thought this is a Melbourne signing.
Yeah. This is a bloke that screamed Melbourne.
I could not believe St George let go, and he went down there and sort of justified St George letting him go.
Yeah, the Dragons have not made many good decisions over the years.
No.
And this one, unfortunately, was right.
Yeah, it's good.
I honestly thought Tarek Sims would leave St George, go to Melbourne, and recapture his origin form. And I kind of penciled him into the New South Wales team, thinking that Craig Bellamy would be able to get the best out of him. And Craig Bellamy apparently gave up on him.
Yeah, well, that says it all, which is a real shame.
And now Craig Bellamy has had a grand final team. Now, I'm going to say this to you. Won a premiership where his props were Jermaine Lowe and Brian Norrie. That is some absolute dross.
Couldn't get the best.
And he has given up on Tarek Sims.
Well, I'll offer up the other one that I had on the list, which is Charlie Staines. Mm-hmm. He was bought to play fullback at the West Tigers. Did a pretty terrible job, and then couldn't even really get in the side as a winger, which we've seen him do okay at. Yeah. Won a grand final in the wing.
Injuries hurt him this year for Charlie.
I think a lack of talent.
Yeah, lack of talent, lots of speed. He had some moments this year where you were like, there is a footballer in there, and then he had some moments where you go, yeah, a park footballer. Look, he was, surprisingly, he was not the Tiger I offered up in the worst signings of the year. I gave up Isaiah Papali'i, and would you believe he made the semi-finals?
I think in terms of what they expected versus what they got, he was a top few. I just think that he played okay, whereas I think Charlie Staines was outright terrible. Sorry, Charlie, I know you're a big fan of the show, but probably not anymore.
Now let's go to the best signings of the year. So number 5 for mine, I have to go with a guy who was on Rugby League death's door, didn't look like he was going to get another gig at all, signed a deal and is now extended, was the leading try scorer, leading point scorer and Dalian winger of the year, Jermaine Zarko. What a turnaround.
Fantastic player. Yeah, when we saw him sign, we're like, okay, what's he going to play fullback? Is he going to play on the wing? What's he going to do? Happy to eat crow here. I really love Jermaine Zarko. He's a good kid. He had a tremendous season. Yeah, no arguments here.
Now, number 4 is his teammate. Zarko was brought in to play fullback until they realised they could get the hammer. And the hammer gave us some hammer time this year. Was undoubtedly one of my favourite players to watch. Just seeing him in full, like on the weekend when he knew that he was going to score that runaway try, the smile on his face was like, I'm going. And the thing is, he was going so quick that he could have ran around under the post and he was just like, nah, Tony needs some kicking practice.
He does.
Yeah, what a signing.
I agree. Hammer was, obviously you could pick 5 or 6 from the Dolphins that were really good. I thought he was their best signing.
Yep.
Pretty handsomely. He is a megastar. I know he did play a bit of centre when he got injured and sort of fell back to the pack. They had to get Nikorima in there.
I don't think that I think he had to play centre out of necessity.
Yeah, that's true.
They were like, you've done that for Queensland pretty well and we have nothing. Yep. It was either him or Kenny Bromwich.
Yeah, he was glorious. I think Hammer had a tremendous season.
Rightfully awarded the Dolphins Player of the Year?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 3. This was a player that I was actually a little bit disappointed that Cronulla didn't make a play at. Because I just feel that we've been needing a lock for a very, very long time. And Jermaine Hopgood is very good.
He was good. He was signed from Penrith in their All-Concrete New South Wales Cup. Played a few games first grade and everyone thought, he's good. Can he be good outside the system? He's better now because he's had a fair go. And
very surprised when they were talking about between him or Corey Horsburgh for Origin. I think Billy Slater went with the tried and tested seasons under the belt because Hopgood's better than Horsburgh.
Yeah, he is. He'll play Origin next year for sure. And there's a pretty handy lock in front of him, but he can play in the middle or out wide. I think Hopgood was fantastic.
Fantastic. He was. Number 2. I want to go controversial here.
Please.
I want to go Reece Walsh.
Reece Walsh, number 2? Okay.
Number 2. Because Reece Walsh is good. He was really good for the Warriors. And you knew going into Brisbane, he was going to be good.
Yeah, now look, I have him number 1. He was the missing piece that Brisbane didn't have last year. When Adam Reynolds was injured or had those games where he couldn't get up, and Ezra Mann was, the rookie and still finding his feet. You didn't have that superstar fullback. And they had some handy players at fullback. I get it. But they didn't have... Reece Walsh, I think, was Brisbane's best player this year. And I think he was top 2 or 3 at worst.
Payne Haas.
Yeah, look, Payne Haas was pretty good.
Yeah.
He was top 2 players undisputedly for me. And I think he was why they got to the grand final. I thought he was why they were in the grand final because that 15 minutes he and Ezra Mann clicked and went ballistic. Okay, he did have a little bit of a... towards the end, that happens to young kids. I just think he was undisputedly number 1. Although your number 1, if it's what you've written here, was pretty good too.
Sean Nickel-Clockstar, for mine, is the undoubted number 1 signing of the season because, again, like we were talking about with Jermaine Zarko, was really good when he burst on the scene at Canberra and then kind of fell in and out of first grade and played a bit of New South Wales Cup and got moved to the centres and they were saying, we're going to pick Xavier Savage over Sean Nickel-Clockstar. And they did pick Xavier Savage over him. He went over to New Zealand after leaving New Zealand. And you kind of I didn't think that he would stay in the team that long. I honestly thought that our boy that went over there, Metcalf, would end up being the fullback.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I thought that, Nickel-Clockstar would get bounced around. He'd play on the wing, he'd play in the centres. He was sensational. Genuinely sensational this year.
Mega star.
And for mine, it's not just about what he did for his team. The Warriors were really bad last year and, they got to a preliminary final. And, it was Nickel-Clockstar against Walsh and, swap.
Stories and...
Yeah. for mine, it was what he did for his career to get himself back on that pedestal where they went and signed Roger Tuivasa-Sheck in April, and now the coach has turned around saying, hey, Tuivasa-Sheck's going to play in the centres.
Yeah, we got our fullback.
You were so good. And for mine, I think that's why he was the number one. Look, there's no wrong answer for number one or number two, except you're wrong and I'm right.
Just want to give a shout out to Greg Marju, who almost made the list. I thought he came really good late on. Very, very good. Just misses, but I'm happy with Reece.
Jackson Hastings, Appy Coruscant as well.
Both good signings,
Another couple of players that, could have been on there, but I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy with the thing.
Now, let's go with our top signings for 2024. Now, spoiler alert, no Shark will be on here because we've re-signed everybody. And unless we punt Connor Tracy or Matt Moylan, we will not pick up any players. So let's get that done. I'm a little bit jealous of some of these clubs and the players that they have signed.
Can we start on your number 5, please, so I can argue?
Yeah, because I can't even read my writing. No, number 5 I have is Tommy Flegler. I think you just have a look at his origin, the back end of the season, and I think he would have been up there in the Clive Churchill standings had the Broncos won. He is a young prop, signed on a very, very good contract for a long period of time. And I'll tell you what, good young props, they're not growing on trees at the moment, because if they did, Cronulla would happily snap a couple up. Again, when you see that a prop like him, of his caliber, went on the contract that he did for the amount of time that he's gone, he's good. Yeah, he's really good.
He's very good. I had him number 6. He is a tremendous signing. Very, very good. Not unhappy you put him there. I offered up Stephen Crichton. Now I know
he's
you're
my
not,
number 6.
I know you're not huge on him playing fullback.
I'm not, and that's the reason why I don't have him in there.
No, completely fair. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see him in the centres by round 6 or 7. But all year the Bulldogs had they had numerous glaring, but the number one glaring thing was for me was their number 1. Because their best number 1 all year was Jake Averillo, and they said very early on, we're not going to re-sign him. And I could not believe it. You or I could outplay Hayes Perham. I think that's not unfair to say. They don't have a number 1. Stephen Crichton adds... We've seen him play tremendously in 1 for Penrith.
We've also seen him play terrible
in
number 1 this year.
But we've never seen him have that run of games where he could play 6 or 7 in a row. We're not going to know what Steve Crichton fullback's like until round 10. I think this is a punt, and worst comes to worst, they shift him to the centre. So
for all intents and purposes for Steve Crichton's career, if he thinks he's going to be a fullback, I want him to succeed at fullback. I just think he's going to be like Matt Burton. Matt Burton in the centres could be the best centre in the game. Instead, he wants to go and be a 5'8", and he's a very average one. I don't doubt that Stephen Crichton will have some good games at fullback. I don't doubt that Stephen Crichton will have some bad games at fullback. But is Stephen Crichton ever going to be nominated for a Dally M fullback of the year? I'd be shocked. I doubt it. I think he'll be average and thereabouts. But if he went and played in the centres, he'd be in my top 5.
Bulldogs could have the best centre pairing in the game, but they refused.
And they've got Bronson Xerri as well, who looks like a prop.
Yep, so let's see. But look, either or at number 5 is completely fine by me.
Number 4, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for mine. Now, we know that Tuivasa-Sheck is a great athlete, but he's been playing rah-rah. So that's why I've put him at number 4.
Yeah, you got to give him time to get back in.
Got to give him time. Also, he's not come back to play fullback. He's come back to play in the centres.
Yep.
So,
I like this, Terry.
I like it.
Because even during the final series, I felt as though the Warriors were one superstar player away from really troubling the big boys. And I felt that their centre combination was their undoubted negative.
Yeah.
So
Rocco Berry and Adam Pompey is not a centre pairing to get excited about. Now, let's just imagine an ideal world for the New Zealand Warriors next year where Sean Johnson's fit, Tamari Martin's fit, Luke Metcalf is fit, firing, and ready to go. Could you put Metcalf at fullback and have Nickel Klukstar and Tuivasa-Sheck in the centres? That is juicy.
That is frightening. I also think Tamari Martin can move into the centres.
Too small, neck injury, no.
No, fair enough. But yes, there is a superstar signing there. And just a feel-good factor, and just to get him away from that
Roger
rubbish.
back.
It is, and to get him away from rugby.
I'm glad he didn't go to the Roosters.
Yeah.
I'm shattered he didn't come to Cronulla. Welcome back, Roger. You are number 4. Number 3, we're going to go contentious on this one, but number 3 for mine is Jack Whiten.
I agree. I think...
Because you don't have him at number 3.
No, I didn't...
That's in no order apart from Thomas Flegler. Okay, I get you.
So, look... I love it.
Yeah. I like it. I like the Jack Whiten signing. The thing for mine is that where are you going to play him?
Well, I was waiting for but...
If you play him at halfback, it's bad.
Yeah, look...
If you move him to 6, it's good, but Cody Walker's bad at 7. And if you put him at fullback, you're giving up on Latrell Mitchell. So I think he's going to play in the centres.
I think he has to start in the centres.
Yeah.
I think if Latrell can't get fit, I think the switch happens very soon. And I think Lockie Elias, unfortunately, is going to be the 4 guy. I think you'll see him in the 6 and Cody in the 7 before too long. Don't know if I love it, but the fact that he can fit in so many places just continues to prove his worth. Yeah. I think it's a no-brainer. Brilliant signing.
I think you're going to see him start in the centres, but play that Joey Manu where when he gets bored out in the centres, he's just going to come in the field.
Go with the ball. He may play at lock some games. That is what I expect.
See, I don't hate that because he's big.
He is. He won't play at lock, but he'll play as a lock.
He'll play as a lock.
Love the signing.
Yeah, I love it. Number 2 for mine is the man who just scored some spectacular tries on the wing this year. It's the big Englishman, Dominic Young. For mine...
Ooh.
Yeah?
No, I can't argue.
I got him in there. I got him in there at number 2. You've got him in there.
I do. Well, I was going to put him at 5, but you messed me up with the guide. Yeah, undoubtedly.
Yeah, he's great.
He's fantastic. Imagine how good he's going to be at the Roosters.
And you know what? It's just not fair that the Roosters are going to have that aerial assault. They'll kick to one wing. Daniel Tupou, all right, yeah, okay. You're matched up against Ronaldo Mulatalo. Well, Domino, you're on Sione Katoa. Let's go kick that side.
It's not going to be fun.
No.
I have seen some people come out and say, what do you do with Sully? Obviously, he's a better wing than centre. Send him to Union. Who cares? You've got Dom Young.
Well, no, they're going to put him in the centre, surely.
Yeah, but if he's no good, you've got Dom Young. Yeah. It's going to be okay. He had a ridiculously good season, and I hate that he signed for him, but he did.
The number 1 signing of the year, though, undoubtedly, undisputed.
Yeah, not even close.
Herbie Farnworth.
Herbie Farnworth. What a man. You're just thinking, what's their one spot they really struggled in this year? Centre.
Everything.
So they went and signed out probably the best one. Definitely the best one available, other than potentially Cron.
I know. I was so looking forward to seeing a Averillo Farnworth in the centres, and Averillo unfortunately done his ACL. Jake, we know you're a big fan. We're thinking of you out here. Can't wait to see you back at round 16. You and Herbie going to absolutely dominate this. But he is so good. Like, he's just so good.
He's so good. I hate it. Should come to Crown.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Rugby League Outlaws, brought to you by our good friends at Top Sport. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Dan and I try and have an off-season. Like, we are trying to have an off-season.
So hard.
And Rugby League is just the gift that keeps on giving. It brings us back here every week. We love it. So make sure you give us comments.
You'll probably see us next week, let's be honest.
Shout-outs. Do whatever you need to do. Give us the negative feedback if you can find it. But
yeah, good luck.
Perfect. Yeah, good. Absolutely good
luck.
luck.
No shark segment this week?
Nah, don't need it. Don't want to talk about the Sharks. Don't want to ruin my week.
Don't know.